Thank you so much for taking the time to come and watch our presentation this morning, which is primarily going to be about starting with and unlocking the power of Data Cloud for B2B marketers. Although I will say, if you're not a B2B marketer, that is okay too. Hopefully all of the content will still be relevant. And today we've got Nicki and myself who are going to walk you through, to start off with, what is available for B2B marketers at the moment in terms of marketing capabilities, and particularly in regards to AI. And then if you're going on a journey with Data Cloud and or AI, what can you do to help prepare your business for that? And then I'm going to start talking about, okay, well, when you've made that decision and you are ready as a business to start with something like Data Cloud, how do you go about planning how you're going to make it work for your business? And then we will do Q&A at the very end. So hopefully it's going to be helpful for everyone. Come and find me at the end if it hasn't been, and punch me in the face or ask me a question. Good, that is what we want. The laughter was what we were wanting, not the actual punches in the face. Thank you. And we also, it's my first time at London's Calling. I think it's Nicki's first time at London's Calling as well. So I want to say thank you for being here. We're really grateful to be here. I'm really, really grateful for all the snacks as well. Like, I thought Salesforce snacks were really great if you've ever been to the tower, but like these ones are next level. Definitely grateful for those. And as is customary, if you've ever had a presentation from anyone at Salesforce, I'm afraid this slide comes up quite a lot. I'm not going to read through it. I do not expect you to. We're just saying that if there is anything that we talk about today that is not readily available, we will let you know, but base any purchasing decisions, if you choose to purchase anything ever with Salesforce, on things that are GA. With that, I'll hand over to you. It's you.
Thank you. Morning, everyone. So I'm just going to take you through the agenda. So first of all, as Ali said,
Sorry.
we're going to... That's okay.
I don't know why it came up a weird colour.
We'll go with it. So the marketing stack available to B2B marketers. We're just going to recap the products, Marketing Cloud, Account Engagement, and Data Cloud. Then we're going to go through how to prepare your organization for Data Cloud and AI. This is more generic. So this is for kind of anybody. And then how to get started with Data Cloud we're going to go into. And then there'll be some Q&A at the end. So any questions we're happy to answer. And I don't want to be punched in the face, so just direct that at Ali. How do I go next on yours? Perfect. So everyone probably would know me, if you do, as Pardot or Account Engagement Specialist. So anytime I get to present, I always like to include my third child, which is Account Engagement. So basically, it's the B2B marketing product available at Salesforce, which enables us to engage buyers across the accounts, align revenue teams, and grow pipeline and prove marketing impact. So if you do want a follow-up demonstration, I'm always happy to. Any questions on kind of, you can call it Pardot if you want, because we're at a community event. I'm going to call it Account Engagement though today. Perfect. So we're just going to recap some of the predictive intelligence that is available today. So any of you that are on the advanced edition, you will have this functionality today. So you have Einstein lead scoring. So this is where you've got data telling you whether or not they're likely to convert. It's a number out of 100. The traditional grading and scoring is very much marketing saying that's a good lead, whereas this is data saying it's a good lead. So if you do have any pushback from the sales team saying you're not giving me great leads, actually you can use one backed by data. Then we have Einstein send time optimization. This is where we're going to send them the email when they're most likely to open based on previous interaction from them. So people like me that read their emails once the children have gone to bed, I would get the email at that time. Or also if you have people in different regions, for example. Then we have key account identification. So anyone here with an account-based marketing strategy, this is some functionality to support that. It basically tells you whether or not they're likely to have a closed opportunity, whether they should be in your account-based marketing strategy. If any of you are interested in anything account-based marketing, please feel free to grab me at some point in the day and we can talk more about my favorite subject. And then we've got Einstein behavior scoring. It goes hand in hand with lead scoring. So this gives you a number out of 100 as to how likely they are to purchase from your business based on interaction with your marketing assets. Campaign insights just highlights what's working really well in a campaign and maybe what isn't working so well in a campaign. So most marketers will have kind of their KPIs. So they look for certain things, but actually Einstein can pull out other things that may be of interest. And last but not least, we got a bit of flickering. There we go. Einstein engagement frequency. So this is where it will tell you whether they are oversaturated, undersaturated, or on target, dependent on, sorry, are we okay? Yeah, we'll carry on. So the Einstein engagement frequency, it will basically, before we used to have to do recency and frequency suppression lists. So anybody that you would have emailed in the last 48 hours, you might have excluded from your journeys or your list sends. But now you can actually just have a filter saying, what's the data saying? Have we sent them enough? Have we sent them too much? Or hopefully they are on target. It looks like we're having some tech issues. Are we switching off and on again? Yeah? Thank you. Perfect. Okay, so today what I want you to do is think of data and AI as your marketing assistants. So we estimate that we're going to save around 5 hours per week. What I like to highlight is we don't want Gen AI to take over marketing jobs. That is not what it is there for. What it is there is to support. So to help you save time on certain activities so you can spend your time on other things like creating a new campaign or, where your kind of value can be added elsewhere. So this is just how we can utilize Data Cloud and AI as that assistant, save time, describe the segment, which we're going to go into when we talk about Data Cloud, and then just make those data-driven decisions, which I just showed you with the predictive. Then, my last slide on account engagement, and this does include Data Cloud, is how you can utilize generative AI. So in this case, we have content creation. This is available today, came out in Feb. Switch it on with 2 clicks, and you can basically ask Gen AI to create your content for you. Upvote it, downvote it, and it will learn kind of which kind of content your brand likes. And then when you have it with Data Cloud, that's where you can have your segment creation. So when I worked in marketing, I used to have to know exactly the filters that I wanted to filter on for my segment, whereas actually what you can do now is put in your natural language, kind of what you want it to pull back, and it will bring you a list based on that as well. The last one before I pass over to Ali for more Data Cloud is Einstein 1. So this will be available for marketing account engagement customers that have Data Cloud towards the end of the year. And it's basically going to enable you to have Gen AI create a whole campaign for you and walk you through that. So really exciting. I think it's over to you, Ali.
Yeah, so we just kind of wanted to frame with what is readily available if you are a B2B marketer and already using account engagement. And as you can see towards the end there, some of the features that we're working on for the future, they're going to be grounded in Data Cloud. And, that's the real kind of talking point here is the future of Salesforce. For anyone that's been to World Tour or anything else recently is Data Cloud, Data Cloud, Data Cloud. I am very lucky to be a Data Cloud SE and a personalization SE. So I've been on the Data Cloud train since its infancy. However, we're just seeing more and more capabilities every day, every week, every month coming out of Data Cloud. And when it comes to the B2B features, as Nicki just explained, it starts to get really exciting because you can start to pull in some of those AI kind of features that previously might not have been available in account engagement and start to make use of all of your business data rather than just your marketing data. And so one of those new key features that we wanted to just highlight today, because we think that obviously AI is a big keyword for this year, generative AI particularly. I wanted to break it down so it was a bit more real for everyone and our capabilities were as clear as they can be. One of the key things that you can do with Data Cloud that will be valuable for B2B businesses is, and this is mainly probably for your larger or enterprise businesses, is the model builder. And we have so many different names for Einstein this and Einstein that, but the model builder is basically saying if you are a business that has a data science team or is using predictive models or generative AI models already in an external platform such as Databricks, BigQuery, Snowflake, etc., we are now giving you the ability to just pull those into Data Cloud and just use them in the flow of work for marketers, for business users, for data analysts, in a very easy kind of way, and often with zero copy as well. So you're able to just pull the result of an algorithm that exists in your platform and use it in Data Cloud without storing all of the data associated with that. So that's kind of the first feature. And then the second Einstein one that I wanted to talk about was the no-code model builder. Now, if that last part, like last 30 seconds, didn't hit home for you because you don't have a data science team or you're not a big enough business to have your own machine learning already, then what you can do now in Data Cloud is you can actually, as a marketer, within 7 clicks, create your own model. And you can link to various different open AIs, ChatGPT, and all of those kind of standard base models. And then you can use data that exists in Data Cloud to make sure you're only using kind of data that you have control of. And you can create churn propensities. You can create propensities to go from a standard account to a VIP account or next level account. You can create propensities for cross-sell and upsell. All kinds of predictions you can start to make with just a few clicks inside of Data Cloud. And for me, that's one of the most powerful things that we're going to be able to do moving forward as B2B marketers. Now we're going to kind of take a sidestep and start to think as a business with Nicki, well, what do you need to even prepare your business before you start building those types of decisions?
I like how the flickering comes back when I go to speak again. I feel like there's a theme here. So what this says is how to prepare your organization for Data Cloud and AI. So this is where I'm just going to take you through kind of 4 steps that all businesses can hopefully take something from it for the next steps towards Data Cloud and AI. First one, preparing your data. I'm going to go into this in a bit more detail, but preparing your organization, preparing your marketing stack that you currently have or that you're looking to expand on, and then preparing yourself and your team. So let's go into preparing your data. Now, this is really key. A lot of the clients I've been into recently have actually been saying they're putting a data team together. They've got one in marketing now. That seems to be becoming more and more common, that actually somebody in marketing, usually marketing ops, has a focus on data, and it's making sure it's clean and complete, which I was a Salesforce admin and I can see lots of smiling faces because it's not an easy task to keep it clean and complete. Some of the recommendations I can personally give from what I've seen is making sure all records have an owner. And it's something so simple, but where I've seen data go extremely bad is because no one's looking after it or no one's monitoring it. Also having data that can be easily processed. Yes, having a free text build, it does its job. However, you can't really do much with that information. You probably could categorize it, but yet again, if any of you are trying to do reports or dynamic lists, it is a bit of a challenge. So if any Salesforce admins in the room, just think when you're selecting that type of field in any of your platforms, what's going to actually bring back some value. And then Salesforce security, just making sure that you never feed into a public model, which is one of the differences with our Gen AI. It is all built on that trust layer. So you don't have to worry about that. Then we're going to go on to preparing your organization. So there's kind of 4 elements. Like I just mentioned, marketing operations, I feel like they're best positioned to lead the adoption of AI. And the reason why is because they get to see the end-to-end process. And also what I do find is marketing teams are usually a bit more agile with getting things done. They can have it done kind of separately. The next one is having your org some clearly documented policies and boundaries. I think this is really key, what you're going to use AI for, what's the benefit. And then aligning the AI with business objectives, but then also focusing on, and Ali's going to go into this a bit more detail, but actually having narrow and impactful use cases first. You see some clients that just want to go big bang and just put everything in. Our suggestion is actually find one use case that is going to give value back to your business. Could be the smallest one, small use case, even a small, enhancement, but it will make a difference, and then you can do your next one. And then the business will also grow in confidence that you can use the AI in the right way. So that's the preparing your organization. The next one is preparing your marketing tech stack. So firstly, maximizing the out-of-the-box capabilities in your existing stack. When I showed you at the beginning, if you have account engagement or any other products, have a look, see what AI capabilities are available, make sure you're using them, switch them on for a couple of people. Doesn't need to be for everyone, just test it out, make use of it. Also, evaluating your existing stack, making sure it is compatible for AI applications going forward. If it isn't, why isn't it? Let's have a look at that. And then also just make sure you're choosing technologies that can accommodate future AI advancements. So as you're all here, I'm presuming everyone's got Salesforce, so you're fine. But just making sure that any other products that you select in the future will have that scalability and flexibility. Now, my next slide is actually, I think this is my last one before I hand over to Ali, but preparing yourself and your team. I don't have any other slides on this because actually by being here today, you're already doing this. You're already having the opportunity to start preparing yourselves for AI and data. And also I'm hoping you'll be able to take this back to your teams and give them some of the insight as well. So I'll hand back to you. And I bet the flickering will all stop now.
Let's see. My laptops may be allergic to you, I don't know.
I think so.
Cool. So let's assume that you now as a business kind of have an AI strategy and your business is prepared to use both AI and data cloud. How then do you go about beginning? Well, for a lot of people, if you don't already have data cloud, there is a free option. Now, I will say, full transparency and honesty, this does not include segmentation and activation credits. So if you actually want to be able to send out marketing emails or push data out of the platform to somewhere where a customer would be able to have a changed experience, then you will need to buy additional credits for that. And obviously some of the use cases and things that we're going to be talking about today do rely on segmentation and activation. However, that doesn't mean that you can't make use of the free SKU and really get ahead of things and prepare all of the data so that as and when you're ready to start using it and add value to customers, then your data is in a really great place. And we're going to talk about that. So the colours, I did not pick the colours well on this. We were limited to red, black and white in case anyone hadn't twigged that already. So I am lucky in my role as a data cloud SE that I quite often get to speak to existing data cloud customers, people who have implemented data cloud well and people who have struggled with data cloud. And I've tried to kind of boil some of the learnings and lessons from these types of conversations to share with you today, so that you can maybe avoid some pitfalls and things like that when trying to implement data cloud if you are implementing it. So the first one is, and Nicki kind of touched on this already, boiling the ocean of data sources and boiling the ocean of use cases, right? We talk about data cloud, and when we talk about it, you may have seen, you can bring in data from absolutely anywhere. You can bring in from Snowflake, you can bring in from Amazon and Google and Salesforce and yada, yada, yada. Fantastic. Yes, it can do all of those things and it can do those very easily. And it is definitely worth being prepared for what that will look like eventually as your business, as your kind of like data cloud data model. However, I would not recommend to start by implementing everything at once. Start with a few key data sources that are going to be beneficial for your use cases, which we'll come on to in a second, and just get those working, right? Because otherwise, if you are a large business, it can seem slightly intimidating to try and get absolutely everything in. And if you're not then pushing anything out on the other side, because it's a consumption-based model, it can then get expensive before you've even seen any value out of the platform. Worth being aware of. Ownership and accountability. Places where I've seen data cloud go really, really well and they're loving it are places where there's ownership and accountability of an end-to-end use case or of data cloud full stop. So there's either a center of excellence or you have a specific team or a couple of teams in that business that speak to each other on a regular basis about, okay, this data is now in, okay, this segment is now created, this calculated insight is working, or we've created this propensity, it's now ready to be used in this segment. We're going to have it live then. We have some clear dates on what's happening. And then onto my next point, know your KPIs. When you're doing any use case, and we'll come on to use cases, you need to be really clear about what value you expect that to bring to your business at the beginning so that you can then prove whether it's working or not, as I'm sure you're all already familiar with many other use cases that you're doing in your business. When it comes to planning out use cases, you'll probably go through an initial kind of planning exercise, an example of which I'll talk you through in a second. But with that, we also don't expect it to happen once and then be done. You just go through each use case one by one and implement it. I would imagine that it would make a lot more sense to be iterative and to be organic with your business, because they will be changing all of the time. Your goals as a business will change, successes, failures, you will learn a lot. And so my recommendation is probably every 3 to 6 months, reassess what those use cases are, what your quick wins are, what your more strategic use cases are, and work with that through the Centre of Excellence or through whoever's doing it as a team. The final one, and this kind of links back to my original one as well, is know your data model. So I was saying before, Data Cloud can bring in data from hundreds of different places, and start with a couple. Don't go mad to start with. However, it's very important to be aware of what that full Data Cloud model will be in terms of a future state, ideally from the very beginning, so that you can plan for future success and just be ahead of where it is going, because it does tend to be the case, and I'm being honest here because it's a user forum. If you get things wrong in Data Cloud, it's not always easy to unpick them. So getting it right the first time is incredibly important. All right, so who's familiar with the term use cases or a use case? Hopefully most people in the room, fantastic. And how would you define a use case? Anyone? No, I mean, it's obviously on the screen here, how I determine a use case, but it doesn't necessarily match for everyone. And your business might determine what a use case is differently from this. But the way that I see it is it's a business goal, which is measurable, a capability which probably comes from a combination of the technology, i.e. Salesforce in this situation, and then the data that you have available within your business. And then through that strategic partnership, you have the use case. And I don't know I think I got rid of my other slide. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. Yeah, I did. But ID resolution is not a use case. Why is it not a use case? Because all you're doing is you're resolving IDs. Where's the value there? Where is the significant impact on a customer's experience? If that doesn't exist, or if the value to your business, the ROI, doesn't exist from it, in my opinion, that doesn't count for a use case. A use case needs to have value associated with it that's going to mean that it was worth buying Data Cloud. Cool. This is what I kind of alluded to just now. This is a very rough idea of what a use case planning could look like. So phase 1, where you're looking at business value versus time kind of and complexity of implementation. And I think, yeah, business value is there and simple is here. So the ones that are simplest and will provide the most business value make sense to do as your quick wins, your low-hanging fruits, etc. I rarely see more than 3 or 4 of these in an initial POC or an initial 6 months, simply because you're still doing a lot of the framework of setting up the data model and everything that goes alongside that. And sometimes that can take a couple of months just to do that. So to get a few use cases up and running is incredibly important as phase 1. And then you start thinking about these middle ones, which are your more strategic goals. They might be slightly harder to implement. You might not have all of the data yet, and therefore you'll bring in a couple of extra data streams a few months down the line when the time is right, but you don't need those for your initial phase ones. And question whether you ever need to bother with the ones at the bottom, or when you're doing these iterative ones, has anything changed that pushes those bottom ones further up? Oh, interesting. Okay. There is no build on this slide, but there was some stuff in the back.
There was a build on that slide.
There was a build on this slide. It's disappeared. It's all good. So behind this slide is what some of you might have seen before if you've seen us talk about how the Data Cloud flow works. And it's very much a flow-based platform. So you have your raw data going in, sometimes that's clean, sometimes that's not clean. You can then transform the data, you harmonize the data, you do ID resolutions and insights once you have those unified profiles. And then on the far end, you then have the ability to activate, i.e. push segments out, push insights out, let a service agent or sales agent know about a change in some sort of account that's going on, right? Once again, the way that we at Salesforce, or the way that I see it, is you need to answer all three of these questions for a justified use case. And you don't have to start with this one, but I think this one probably makes the most sense. If you're going with the free version of Data Cloud and you don't want to do segmentation activation credits to start with, you might want to start here and just think, okay, well, what questions do I have in my business? What do I want to know the answers to, or what do I want to improve? Is it churn rate? Is it increased average order value? Is it increased number of accounts? Those kind of things are the insights that you're trying to get to in your business. But you also need to think about, okay, well, the value really comes from interacting with customers and affecting change. So how do I want those insights to impact what a customer sees or what a customer does? And finally, you then get to the question of, okay, well, what data sources are critical to get those insights out? And that then, when you've answered all of those questions for each of your use cases, takes you to what those low-hanging fruit are, what the more complex ones are, etc. Because there will be some data that's very easy to get or easy to set up, and there will probably be other types of data that's going to be a bit more tricky. This is a quick example of a use case. And it's hopefully a realistic B2B use case for those of you that are B2B marketers. So we want more of our accounts to be like our best accounts, and we want to also increase average order size by 5%. And we're going to do that through owned advertising, i.e. email, SMS, website, informed by segment performance, insights, and AI. It's a fairly long sentence, I will admit, but it covers the two parts that you really need in a use case: your business goal with a KPI and the capabilities that is going to drive that. Now, we have versions of this that we can send you afterwards. We can probably even send you the deck, blank versions of this, but this is what I tend to use in planning workshops with customers when we are trying to decide what those initial use cases are going to be. Because as an SE, it's often part of my role is to help you decide as a business, okay, well, where do I start? So we tend to go through this kind of exercise. You need to answer what's your objective, audience, experience, data, KPIs, and potential challenges there. Once you've done this, and I know it might be long if you have 100 use cases, but it's worth doing. You go through this, probably it's maybe a big day or a couple of days exercise with all of the people in the room that would need to be there. You would then lay these out, probably prioritize them in terms of what you think the complexity is, etc. And that will then help you get to that iterative version of your planning for Data Cloud. But what's interesting with that use case that you saw, the big long sentence about increasing order value and increasing high value accounts, is it may well need quite a bit of data. And it may well need some insights. We wanted to understand who are the top accounts. How do we know who has the propensity to be a top account? And we're assuming we're going to be using AI and Einstein here, right? That's the whole concept. These are the places that we're going to impact change. We need to have the marketing teams aligned to make sure. See, it does trigger on this one.
I feel a little bit better now.
Yeah. Maybe it's where we're standing. Yeah.
I don't know.
It does go out to multiple places. Therefore, you need to make sure that the marketing teams who are going to be providing that end content are aligned. And then it may well require some of the data team or people to start working out some of these kind of values in the middle. And as you can see on the left-hand side, in this particular scenario, I've assumed that you're actually going to need quite a few different data sources, maybe 3 or 4 data sources. However, there might be a few other use cases that you could do with those exact same data sources and same kinds of insights. This would then probably lead to 3 or 4 use cases that would just incorporate what we're talking about here in terms of the channels, segments and recommendations, the data that we're calculating in the middle, and then the original 3 data sources that were needed for that first use case. So for me, that's then deciding, okay, well, these are the data sources we definitely need. We've got the initial use case, but actually we've got quite a few other use cases beyond that, and that is our starter for 10. All right. So we're wrapping up now, and then we'll do 10 minutes of Q&A. Ideal. So key takeaways. If you haven't done so already, it's probably a good idea to start preparing your business for and for Data Cloud if you're planning on using something like Data Cloud. Biggest takeaway, always think big, always have a view of the end goal and what you'd love to be able to do, but definitely start small so that you're able to be successful and you have those small wins on a daily or weekly basis. Identify your use cases and your success criteria. Those KPIs are incredibly important. And then finally, make sure you're bringing together the insights from Data Cloud and then the ability to execute, i.e. your marketing team, be that account engagement, marketing cloud, Emarsis, anywhere else that you might be using. You need both teams or all teams to be on board to make it successful. Anything from you, Nikki?
No, I'm just waiting for it to flicker again.
Yeah. All right.
I suppose we can open it up if there's any questions. Also, if anyone doesn't want to ask a question now or wants to find us later, you're more than welcome to. If you have any questions, go ahead.
At the back. Do we have microphones, or you might have to?
Oh, I've got one.
Oh, there we go.
There we go. Oh, sorry.
Thank you. I have a question about the GenAI, where you showed the generative for the subject and the content. So what would be your recommendation for setting up the branding?
Depending on which platform. So in account engagement, you can't necessarily at the moment kind of set that profile up. What you can do is upvote it and downvote it so it will learn the type of content that your brand likes. So in account engagement, I would just start using that and keep an eye on the roadmap as well. You're welcome.
So with Einstein send time optimization, is that optimizing based on just my send data, or are you using anonymized data across all senders to that inbox?
Within account engagement, it's just on your own data within your platform.
Okay. Is there a plan to make it smarter?
I don't know.
I know you're not allowed to say, but.
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head. What I would say is the reason why it's been done based on that recipient is so that it's more tailored to them, but also it's a trust thing. We wouldn't want to start bringing data from anywhere into the core platform. And a lot of our customers, especially financial services, they don't necessarily even feel comfortable using our Gen AI. So right. They may do, but at the moment, I think from a security perspective, they'll probably leave it as it is, where it's just based on your data. When that person opens, next time you send to them, it's the same time.
Got it. Thank you.
There's nothing to say that couldn't be a Data Cloud use case, though, right? Depending on where you have access to that kind of data. But if you were able to say, buy that data in from a third party and match that to your kind of known users, then you might be able to use that to build your own model in Einstein Model Builder, potentially.
As Salesforce colleagues, you might be a bit biased to this, but we're on the journey of gathering use cases at the minute. Where have you found previous implementations of Data Cloud? Where has Salesforce got involved on that roadmap of coming up with ideas through to obviously purchasing it or going with the free option?
It kind of depends on whether you've already paid for it or not, right? As in, if you've signed the contract, then it could be a partner, it could be professional services or our CSG customer success group team. They all have a lot of good experience in doing this before, particularly professional services, because, if you're paying for them to implement it, they're going to have these types of conversations with you. However, if you haven't bought it, then it's someone like me. So who goes into customers before they've actually made that purchase and goes through an initial kind of value-based kind of planning exercise, just like the one that we just showed. So if you haven't already bought it, then we can definitely help speak to your account rep whoever your account exec is, and they will be able to bring an SE like myself in. What I would say is we have different SEs with different types of knowledge, depending on whether these are marketing use cases or more core, i.e. sales and service type use cases. So myself and Nikki are marketing specialists, so we tend to get involved in conversations where the primary use cases are marketing. We can also talk about non-marketing use cases, but that's kind of our sweet spot. And then there's kind of a different set of people where if it's core led, on our core platform, they're very much sales or service use cases, then they'll be the ones starting that conversation.
Yeah, thank you. We're on that use case gathering at the minute, engaged with our execs, but we're just finding we're getting excited and giddy by it. And then Salesforce are like, well, what's your use cases? And we're like, maybe we don't talk to you yet, maybe we talk internally.
Yeah, we can definitely help you there. And yeah, depending on what industry you're in, it may well be myself that comes in and helps you, because there aren't that many of it. We're like unicorns at Salesforce at the moment. One there and then one at the back. Cool.
You mentioned before that at the moment, the free option for Data Cloud, the credits are not for segmentation and activation. Mm-hmm. Is there a document or a table that kind of outlines what the different credits are and how they are applied in the different uses of data consumption in Data Cloud?
Yes, there are. There are quite a few decks. So I'll try and if I get your details afterwards, I'll try. Them. Okay, great. Then we can try and send those across. But yeah, we only moved to a consumption-based model, I think it was towards the end of last year. And it's very much been a learning process. The credits are kind of overall, and we've just released Digital Wallet this week, which is great for customers who've already got it, because now they can really see what they're using their credits for, what's using more credits, less, etc. And if they are getting close to limits, then they can have that conversation. But the general rule, before we send you the information, is there's segmentation and activation, there's core data storage credits, which is all about kind of storing data, and then there's data processing credits, and there's also Einstein credits, which are separate. Those are the kind of base ones, but then there are a few subcategories within that.
Thank you.
I think we've got time for one more question.
Okay, there was one at the back.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think but grab us today if you did have questions.
Hi, we are in this journey, and at a stage of that use cases. So we have two use cases, and using data warehouse basically at the moment to move our policy data into data warehouse, and a lot of other stuff is in customer information is in Salesforce. Now, how mature do you think Data Cloud is to have that, whatever you would say, integration or that ETL between a data warehouse like Synapses and Salesforce? Because I know we have heard about two orgs and their ETL is the example I've seen. But how do you think from Salesforce perspective, we are mature enough to see that it is now ready to talk to data warehouses and do that ETL? Is it still in a learning phase? It'll mature, or is it you think like, yes, because for us, that's most important thing, because that's our biggest use case.
We're actually getting very mature now in terms of data ingestion. Now, some data warehouses are still ETL, or you have to transfer the data across. Quite a few of our data warehouse connections now with AWS, Snowflake, Google, I think Azure is either coming very soon or already available. They are zero copy, which basically means that you have the data in the data warehouse, and then you build a framework for that schema in your data model in Data Cloud. And then anytime you want to use data, the source place is from that data warehouse in a calculation, in a segment, etc., it will call it in real time, but you're not storing the data in two places, which means one, quick access to data pretty much in real time. You're not passing it through ETL at all. And two, you're not having to pay to store data in two places either. So that's where we're going, and we're bringing out more and more partners for that zero ETL or federation, we call it, version at the moment. But I would say that Synapse is definitely already on ETL, but it might well be coming very soon for zero ETL as well.
Thank you.
But yeah, we're ready for it, is what I would say.
Perfect. If there are any more questions, grab us. Thank you for joining our session today and I hope you have a wonderful day.